The public participation is closed at 7 o'clock p.m. Any comments from council? Okay, great. The mayor will be here shortly to start the meeting. Thank you.
All right. Good, good, great. All right, I would like to call to order this regular meeting of the New Britain Common Council. The date is October 12th, and the time is 7:10 PM. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderpersons Dyson.
Here.
Ayalon.
Here.
Cantanzero.
Here.
Costa. Hargraves. Malinowski. Ortiz Luna. Pabon. Russell. Rutkowski.
Here.
Sanchez. Skirpo.
Here.
Segura. Thompson.
Present.
Smedley.
Present.
14 present, Your Honor.
Ortiz Luna is excused. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we all please rise for the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance?
Let us pray. O God, our Heavenly Father, we pay homage in remembrance of the immigrants who had a desire to make America their home. They left their countries and risked their fortunes and lives to make America a better place to live free and share in your word. Look down on our Italian, Polish, and Puerto Rican communities, for whose month we celebrate. We ask this in thy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're going to move right into the minutes for this evening. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting of September 14th, 2022.
I have a second by Alderwoman Costa. Are there any questions or comments on those? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the meeting minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley, are there any amendments to the agenda tonight?
There are no amendments.
All right, then we'll move on to our petitions. Mr. Clerk, I see 6 of them tonight.
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
Okay.
Number 1, Alderman Ayalon for the appropriate departments to provide responses for the following information requests. 1, please submit water sewer bills for 185 Brook Street from January 1, 2008 until present. And 2, please explain how sewer charges bills are calculated.
We're going to send that to the Revenue Department, which keeps track of that type of billing.
Okay, number 2, from Alderman Russell for the appropriate departments to conduct a traffic study at the intersection of Corbin Avenue, Monroe Street, and Lincoln Street.
We're going to send that to the Police Commission.
Okay, number 3, from Alderman Russell for the appropriate departments to install signs restricting parking in front of the Latino supermarket at 57 Whiting Street to limit parking time to 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, we're going to send that to the Public Works Department.
Okay. Number 4 from Alderman Sanchez for the appropriate departments to trim the bushes inside and around Willow Street Park.
At Public Works Department as well.
Number 5 from Alderwoman Sanchez for the appropriate departments to install bus shelter enclosures at the bus stop near the Martin Luther King Monument at the Martin Luther King Drive and Stanley Street.
I'm going to send that to the Public Works Department, but they will need to contact Department of Transportation with the state, but because I can't refer petitions to the state, I'll send it to them and have them do the contact there.
Okay, number 6 from Alderman Smedley to conduct a traffic study at the intersection of Lincoln Street and Hart Streets to deem if it is necessary for a stoplight to be added.
And we're going to send that to the Police Commission as well, as they are the traffic authority for the town.
Great, and that's it, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. I don't believe that there is a consent agenda this evening, so we're going to go into Report A, Alderman Ayalon.
I move to accept item A.
I have a second by Alderman Pabon. Alderman Ayalon?
So, Your Honor, my first petition was to find out who, the city sells its liens, but it turns out it hasn't been selling liens since 2013. So I'm just wanted clarification how and who handles liens. I know there are liens on, water bills. So if somebody in the city can explain how liens are handled and who does that.
Okay, I don't believe our finance director is here this evening, but Mr. Dorsey can help answer that question for you, Justin.
Yes, Alderman. After it gets to a certain amount, usually around the $2,000 range of the liens, then it is sent through Corporation Council to start collecting on that.
Okay, and so the Corporation Council, what's their, so they send letters to,
The Revenue Department sends the letters to let the people know that they're delinquent.
okay? And so is that the same as the Corporation Council or different?
Well, the Revenue Department
Rep-
is the Revenue Department, and Corporation Council is the legal department.
So then how long are these liens allowed to lax before something else happens? So is that like 20 years or never ending or what? Just tell me more about this. How's it goes?
So the Revenue Department also contracts with tax serve, where they don't keep the money. They give the money back to the city. They just collect a percentage on
So
whatever they
it
take.
contacts who, you said?
Tax serve,
Tax Serve, so that's,
which this body approves the contract with.
so Tax Serve, is that a private company?
It is.
It's
So,
If I may, it's a private collection company, so they do the collections for those people who are $2,000 and above on their delinquencies.
so the tax collection, does the city pays them, or what do they get out of this?
What does who get out
The
of
tax collection name?
it? Tax serve, you're talking about?
Tax Serve, yes.
They get a percentage of what they take in.
Okay, so the city doesn't technically sell it to them, but it gives them that information, and they collect, and then they take percent. What's percentage, you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, sir. It's
Okay.
minimal.
So they get something out of it.
Correct.
Okay. So it's not technically sold,
No.
but it's given
Yeah.
as a gift.
Good evening, Alderman. Is it
Yes.
okay if I respond? So the liens themselves are no longer sold to anybody. There was a brief period when the city elected to sell its liens, and in that case, we actually got paid, and then the liens came off of our books, and they were owned by a different entity. Now, the city just tries to collect on whatever amount, whatever arrearage is owed by the property owner.
Okay,
So the lien remains of record against the property until such time as the arrearage is paid in full.
okay.
And the city, over the years, the Revenue Department would be in a better position to answer this, but we've engaged Tax Serve. There was a contract that the council approved with that entity several years back. We have used my office, the Corporation Counsel's office. We have used private attorneys in the city. So it's sort of, a mix of different ways of attempting to collect the debt that's owed. The liens never are removed from the city's name. So the city is always the lien holder.
Okay,
Just a matter of who's trying to collect on it. No different than if you had a credit card debt that you owed and you'd had various collectors trying to call and collect that debt from you.
okay, so Tax Serve is a private company that the city tells them, here's the lien, gives them the information and tells them, you collect it from, you
Yeah, they basically function as a collection agency.
collect an agency.
Right.
And then do they get a percentage whether they collect or not, or they only if they collect?
It's only when they collect, because again, the lien holder is always the city. So it's our debt, it's our lien, no different than if you had a private debt collector collecting debt, they get paid on contingencies. I don't recall any of the facts of the contract. I know I've seen the contract. I know it went through his body. It's been several years, if I remember correctly. So again, I'd have to defer to the Revenue Department on that.
So it's the same company has been doing it since 2013, since we stopped selling it?
No.
Or there's been-
Again, we've had different ways, the Revenue Department has had different ways, and the Water Department, of trying to collect on these liens. So I think the only one that comes to mind in terms of private companies is Tax Serve. But again, we've used, a mix of different, I know for a fact that the city has engaged different agencies or, law firms, for instance, to try to collect on these debts.
So Tax Serve, how long have we been using Tax Serve?
I don't recall, I don't
No,
remember
no?
any of that, no.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Any other questions on Report A? All those in favor of accepting the report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move into our resolutions this evening, and resolution number 1, Alderwoman Costa.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 1.
Seconded by Alderwoman Sanchez.
Thank you. This resolution highlights October 2022 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm just going to read through the resolution. Whereas excluding skin cancer, breast cancer is the most common cancer in women. It is the second leading cause of cancer death in women after lung cancer. And whereas the chance of a woman having invasive breast cancer sometime during her life is about 1 in 8. The chance of dying from breast cancer is about 1 in 36. And whereas currently there are over 2.8 million women living in the United States who have been treated for breast cancer, and whereas approximately 40,000 women will die from the disease this year. Whereas men are also able to get breast cancer, and in fact, there are 2,360 cases every year of breast cancer in men in the United States. And whereas it is not yet known exactly what causes breast cancer, but what is known is that certain risk factors are linked to the disease, and whereas women age 40 and older should have a mammogram annually. Women in their 20s and 30s should have a clinical breast exam as part of a regular exam by a health expert. Whereas study shows that regular mammography screening of women between the ages of 50 and 69 reduces breast cancer mortality by approximately 30% in this age group. However, women with breast cancer will not benefit from mammography screening unless they have access to the appropriate treatment. The earlier breast cancer is found, the better the chances are that treatment will work, and the most common sign of breast cancer is a new lump or mass. A lump that is painless, hard, and has uneven edges is more likely to be cancer, but some cancers are tender, soft, and rounded. Therefore, it's important to have anything unusual checked by your doctor, please. Breast Cancer Awareness Month is a special opportunity every year to focus attention on this urgent challenge that affects us all in some way. Now, therefore, it be it resolved that the City of New Britain recognizes October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it implores the citizens of this city to be aware of this disease, its risks and its symptoms, and are encouraged to self-screen monthly and be screened regularly. I also want to just mention the Connecticut Breast Health Initiative always has programming, fundraising, and opportunities to learn and participate in proactive and fundraising opportunities. There's all kinds of programs going on right now. It's ctbhi.org. Please visit that website, and I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderwoman. Would any other Alderman Ayalon?
As I do every year, it's a good opportunity, or an unfortunate opportunity, to memorialize my sister who died from breast cancer at age 48, about 24 years ago. And so it's really, I urge everybody, all women especially, to have mammography every year. Also, there's a simple way to contribute. If you buy stamps, there's breast cancer stamps that I always buy. They're not always available, but it's another way for contributing. And of course, we can have to remind people we have the race in the park for breast cancer. So I urge people to participate as well. And I'm sure sharing our stories is very important to remind people how breast cancer, how hazardous it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Ayalon. And the other alderperson, Alderman Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. As a family that was touched by breast cancer, early detection is a major thing. I would ask every woman out there to be their best advocate and push to have a mammogram done. The earlier the better to catch it, and the earlier the age to push for it, the better, because it is becoming a younger and younger woman are getting it. So I just encourage women to just be their own advocate and just push doctors to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Thompson. Any other alderperson? I'll take a second to tell my story from this year, and hence why I'm wearing pink tonight. My mom is currently in remission from breast cancer, being diagnosed with that this past March. It's a really stressful journey for any family, no matter who's dealing with it, and a scary reality. I want to give a shout out to the Hospital of Central Connecticut for the cancer center that they have up on North Mountain Road, and we are incredibly lucky to have that type of resource here. The care that they rendered to my mom was just incredible. The thoroughness of the doctors, how kind they were, how empathetic they were to what not just her but our entire family was going through. They're really incredible. They have a partnership with Sloan Kettering, and oftentimes, we kind of look at the hospital and we kind of take it for granted that it's here, but the work that they're doing here is really incredible. And I'm wearing pink tonight for my mom, so go mom. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Alderwoman Costa with resolution number 2 tonight as well.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 2.
Seconded by Alderwoman Sanchez.
Thank you. Recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And again, I'm going to read the resolution. These are powerful resolutions tonight. Whereas domestic violence is a serious crime, which is not bound to any one group of people, but traverses all economic, racial, gender, educational, religious, and social barriers, and is sustained by indifferences. Whereas in the United States, on average, 24 people per minute are victims of rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner, which is more than 12 million men and women over the course of a year. Whereas in 2016, 39,661 victims of domestic violence sought help and were provided services across Connecticut, including 33,734 adults and 5,927 children. Whereas the crime of domestic violence transgresses an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to the methodic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and/or abuse. Victims should have access to support services to help escape this cycle of abuse. It is a moral obligation to encourage domestic violence victims and their families to seek assistance from appropriate victims services organizations such as Prudence Crandall, Inc. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of New Britain and Mayor Aaron Stewart recognize October 2022 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and urge all citizens to work together to promote justice, provide safety, and prevent harm for all. And just another shout out plug for Prudence Crandall. They're doing amazing work, especially through the pandemic. And I do urge adoption.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Would any other alderperson like to comment on the resolution? Alderman Dyson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Real quick, when you talk about Prudence Crandall, I happened to be with the finance, I was in charge of finance for Prudence Crandall, and he said financially they're in good shape right now, but federal funding will be slowing, and there's a big concern because of the number of domestic abuses, which is really scary because they don't have the beds within the facilities, so they've got to keep going out to hotel rooms. So there's a fear that that trend continues, that the funding from federal dries up. So if you have any spare dimes, please donate to the Prudence Crandall Center. They do wonderful work. They had the candlelight vigil last Tuesday night. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday night, and it's always very well attended, and it's there's always a sobbing story, somebody come in and talk about their life, and it's real, so, and it's dangerous. But so if you can, whatever you can do to help the Prudence Crandall, that certainly would be very much warranted. So thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Alderman. Any other alderperson? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 3.
Seconded by Alderman Thompson.
This resolution will recognize October as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. Pregnancy and infant loss is such a common occurrence, one that is usually not recognized, and many parents and families have suffered a miscarriage, stillbirth, or death of an infant during delivery or shortly after birth. And this devastating tragedy often occurs suddenly without warning, and as a result of miscarriage, stillbirth, preterm birth, sudden infant death syndrome known as SIDS, accident, or other causes or complications. And the City of New Britain wishes to recognize the profound grief experienced by families who suffer the death of a baby, as well as to acknowledge the existence of the babies and infants that died far too early. The 15th day of October is recognized in parts of the United States and many other jurisdictions around the world as a day of remembrance and awareness for pregnancy and infant loss. The tragedy of pregnancy and infant loss, which exacts a terrible emotional toll, may be preventable in some instances with increased awareness of the causes and impacts surrounding pregnancy and infant loss, and may lead to greater understanding, support, and resources in communities across the state and country. A month of remembrance honors the lives of children taken far too soon and supports grieving parents, grandparents, siblings, and other family members whose lives are forever altered by the heartbreak of losing a child. Those parents and families require support and understanding during their time of grief, and promoting awareness of the challenges faced by those parents and families in a positive means of establishing support and understanding. And Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Remembrance Month would enable the people of New Britain to consider how, as individuals and communities, they can meet the needs of bereaved mothers, fathers, and family members and work to prevent the causes of deaths. I do urge adoption, and I would ask the council to keep former Alderman Trammell Collins and his family in their prayers for the loss of Lyric many years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Smedley. Alderman Ayalon.
Yes, I think it's a very important resolution. I just want to make the public and everybody aware that overturning Roe versus Wade and in making abortion illegal in many states put many more women at risk during pregnancy, because those who take care of them are not sure if they can help or they can't help, or they're against the law or for the law. And so, unfortunately, this one will be exacerbated, and we know around the world a lot of women suffer death and unneeded suffering because abortion was illegal in many of the countries. So I just want to make aware that this is all will make this resolution even more important. Thank you.
Any other alderperson wish to comment? And let's not forget about the mothers who struggle to get pregnant. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 4.
Seconded by Alderman Smedley.
This is a shorter resolution. Whereas Italian American Heritage Month has been celebrated across the United States in October since 1989 to reflect on the professional and social accomplishments of all Americans of Italian descent and their impact on American society. And whereas the city of New Britain is proud to be home to such a distinguished population and recognizes the accomplishments Italian American men and women have made in the fields including business, education, government law, medicine, and public safety. And whereas, in addition to a strong professional presence, Italian American fraternity organizations, including Angelo Tommaso Senior Lodge, Order Sons and Daughters of Italy, in America, Calabria Mia, General Miglio Society, Angelo Costone Society, Campio Petrie Society, Italian Heritage Foundation, Incorporated, has been long pillars in New Britain community and have contributed to the rich, diverse culture of the city. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the city of New Britain designates October as Italian American Heritage Month. And if I may add, we had a great wreath laying at the Christopher Columbus statue Monday. Monday. It was a great turnout of all the organizations here in the city, along with a few other people. And can't help but thank this administration and this council for continuing that long history that statue was erected in 1941 to welcome back the Italian service people that went to fight in the war. And I urge adoption. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Rutkowski, resolution number 5.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll make a motion to accept and adopt item number 5.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Russell.
During the month of October, we recognize and honor the Americans of Polish descent who have helped build our nation and our community. And many valorous Polish individuals fought alongside their American comrades during the Revolutionary War to win independence for this great nation. And General Kazimierz Pulaski served diligently and tenaciously during the Revolutionary War with distinction, and his courageous efforts and selfless acts will never be forgotten. And on October 11th is designated as the General Pulaski Memorial Day in honor of the valiant leader that sacrificed his life for the country not of his own. An endeavor to serve freedom for the liberty for others. And during the time, we also reflect on the contributions of many Polish Americans that have so richly given and developed this great nation through their history, and Polish American citizens have contributed so much to our society and our community for their support in battle, for their skills in business, knowledge and education, and all the areas of life. And now, therefore, to be resolved that the City of New Britain be recognized October as Polish American Heritage Month, and encourage all residents to celebrate the sacrifices, contributions, culture, prosperity of all our friends and neighbors of Polish descent. And I urge adoption.
Thank you, Alderman Alderman Rutkowski. Any other questions or comments on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Malinowski.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 6.
I have a second by Alderman Pabon.
And this is the acceptance of a fire prevention grant from Connecticut Fair Plan in the amount of $500 for a digital camera to be used by the Fire Marshal's office for investigation and inspection. And I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Malinowski. Any questions or comments on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 7 tonight, Alderman Hargraves.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt Resolution 7.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Smedley.
This resolution is for SimSite software for the Fairview Cemetery. Currently, there is no software that keeps track of the 39,000 burial records that are on file at Fairview Cemetery. The software will be funded by $75,000 from the Fairview Cemetery Trust Fund, and I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman. Are there any questions or comments on this? Alderman Ayalon.
Just curious, how come the city of New Britain is managing a cemetery? If somebody can give us a little history of this. Thank you.
Mr. Barbieri, would you like to educate Alderman Ayalon?
I would love to answer for you why the city's running a cemetery, but I don't have that answer for you. All I can tell you is that we have been for decades. And I believe in lieu of it becoming private and needing a place to bury local and also indigent and veteran graves, which we take care of at the cemetery as well, it's a necessary thing for the community.
Is there any other cemeteries the city of New Britain
Just
manages?
Fairview. The rest are private.
That's all?
Yeah.
How much does it cost annually to manage the cemetery?
Revenue and expenses, it's about 1.2 million. It's a big operation. There's the city, city personnel are involved, and it's definitely a big operation. And without the software, it's extraordinarily difficult. So,
To clarify also, though, it's a special revenue fund. It's not out of the general fund.
it's not a department.
And it all comes from the trust, the Fairview Trust.
Okay,
When it was
so-
deeded to the city by the Langton family in the 1600s.
So there's a trust.
Since the 1600s.
Wow, so there's a trust, but the people who take care of it get paid by the city, right?
Correct.
Or the trust covers all expenses?
The trust, it covers itself, and then the trust has to kick in. Yes,
Okay.
correct.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. A question to the alderman through you, Your Honor. Alderman Ayalon, have you ever been in the cemetery?
Alderman, let's not,
How is that relevant here?
Well, it's
I'm
very
just
relevant,
asking
but I'm
if
going
you've
to
ever been
prohibit him
there.
from asking the
I've been
question.
to any cemetery?
No, to Fairview Cemetery, the one we're talking
No, I
about tonight.
haven't been, no.
Okay.
Maybe you can tell me where it is. You can go and visit.
Enough, boys.
Please, Alderman, please. My point is, all our forefathers from the beginning of this city are buried there. The history in that cemetery is mind-boggling, and we should be very proud that we own that land and take care of it for the resting place of our forefathers. Thank you, Your Honor, I apologize.
I forgive you. I understand. Yeah, Fairview Cemetery has been in operation since the 1700s. We had a really awesome event that used to happen every year called Timeless Tales of Fairview Cemetery, where we actually celebrated a lot of the New Britain natives that are buried there, people who are incredibly impressive to the history of this city. Not only that, it's home to most of the veterans' graves in town, which every year it's where Wreaths Across America happens. Beautiful event that we have that honors all of our veterans who have passed by placing beautiful Christmas wreaths on all of their graves. The trust fund, correct, does fund all of the operations. It was actually, just a fun fact here, the city did attempt to sell the Fairview Cemetery back in the early 1990s, and it was met with vehement resistance from the city council at the time, who did not want to sell that asset. Fun fact.
I just want to mention that I just wanted to learn. I'm not criticizing anybody if it came about like that. Just wanted to, it was new to me that the city of New Britain is managing a cemetery. I'm glad I got the answer, and it's really worthwhile. And I'm a history buff, so that's probably will be worth a visit and to learn more about the history of New Britain. Thank you.
And one of the things, Alderman, too, that has been a discussion for decades is actually the restoration of the chapel. And that it's impressive, but it is incredibly expensive to try to do, but it's beautiful. Let me rephrase that. It could be beautiful if the amount of money was invested to restore that.
Your Honor.
Alderwoman Costa.
And I'm not being facetious, but Alderman Ayalon, you can walk through with me anytime because I enjoy walking there a lot. I visit my family members, and through the pandemic, it was the safest place for me to walk. It's a huge, beautiful location, and I don't know how facetious you were being about where is it. It's on Smalley and East Street, and there used to be a connection to actually St. Mary's Cemetery through the tunnel, but there isn't anymore. People drive by all the time. The bus track is on in between actually that cemetery, and there's been a lot of work done there. The history there is extraordinary. I learn something every time I go there. It is peaceful, it is beautiful, and it is a place that I would recommend visiting.
And I would also like to give a shout out to the best two actors that Timeless Tales ever had in Alderman Jarrell Hargraves and myself, who both played characters once upon a time. Who are you? Elihu Burritt.
I played Elihu Barrett. What's the guy's name? Dexter Fellows. He was the
Dexter Fellows.
the press man for the circus.
Yep.
Yeah, and who's the pianist guy? I forget his name.
Theodore Valentine.
Theodore Valentine.
No, that's not it.
Was it?
I'll remember by the time my next resolution comes on. Teddy Williams.
Teddy, yeah. Oh. And I was the first female publisher of the New Britain Herald, Judy Brown. Downtown Judy Brown. Not that one, but that was fun. That was a cool event. Anyways, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Dyson, resolution number 8.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to digress real quick, but when you walk through the cemetery, when they're laying the wreaths, it's pretty impressive. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 8.
Seconded by Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you. This is to accept a fund of $50,000 to CDM Smith for engineering services for the development of the MSR permit compliance proposal for the Public Works Department, Utilities Division, MSR is the Municipal Separate Storm System, and funding is available within the Public Parks Department, Clean Water Fund, and I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman. Just as one point of clarification, you didn't read that wrong. It actually is called MS4. It is. It's not a typo. It's called MS4. It's, yeah, it's a order that came down from the EPA that deals with separating your stormwater system. So everything that we talk about, NB flush, say it loud, say it proud, that's impacted. Any questions or comments on resolution number 8? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned too, we are required to spend a certain amount of money annually on that MS4 permit. We've been pushing to spend $1 million each year on this type of work, but we've been very grateful as of late to spend a lot more with different opportunities from grants and sources of revenue that we've been able to find to really push forward these programs. So I digress. Alderman Skirpo, resolution number 9.
Your Honor, I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 9.
I have a second from Alderman Pabon.
Okay, item number 9 is for the Carousel Industries of North America, LLC, to provide the New Britain Public Safety Department with a purchase order for telephone system upgrades utilizing the state of Connecticut's SO 19127 contract. The upgrades will be conducted on the existing city-owned telephone system utilized by all city New Britain departments. The existing telephone system is no longer supported by the manufacturer, impacting mission-critical communications for the city's public safety departments. The secure system upgrades will renew manufacturer support, increasing leasing by 20%, increase security, reduce the need for equipment, and provide an increased feature set. And I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Skirpo. If you work here, you know that very frequently you see people who would like to throw their desk phones out the window. Mr. Delgadillo can certainly attest to that. I don't know if there's any questions on this much-needed phone upgrade and purchase. Alderman Ayalon.
Just like, I think I'll have the question in other purchase order. Was there a bidding here required or no? When do we know? From the agenda today, the only bidding was on the last item that I saw about a company, a cement company for, so was there any bidding required here or no, or how do we know?
Mr. Delgadillo can help explain that. Turn your mic on.
Okay, through you, Your Honor. Alderman, so this actually did not go through a bidding process. We did utilize the state of Connecticut's bidding procurement contract that they have. You'll see that utilized by a lot of other departments in the city. It helps avoid the bidding department, but just so you understand, we did get 3 other quotes for this work. All the other quotes, the cheapest quote was $400,000. So the issue is we'd have to upgrade, we'd have to replace all of our hardware if we went with another company. To stay with this company, we stay with our phones, we just upgrade the company. And actually, this will be a renewal process now, so we'll be paying for it yearly. We won't have to worry about a big upgrade for the future now. It's just going to keep upgrading on its own.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Delgadillo? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I and every other employee in this building, thank you all. Resolution number 10, Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. Make a motion to accept item number 10 and refer to Committee on Planning, Zoning, and Housing.
I have a second by Alderwoman Costa.
Thank you. We'll discuss this in committee. However, it is going to allow us to amend section 14394 and section 14395 of the Code of Ordinances to amend the filing process for dealer repairs certificate of location license due to filing requirement changes at the State Department of Motor Vehicles. I do urge referral.
Thank you very much, Alderman Smedley. Are there any questions or comments on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Rutkowski, resolution number 11.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll make a motion to accept and adopt item number 11.
Seconded by Alderman Thompson.
This purchase order is for $161,569.60 to Jengris Ford LLC for 2 new 2023 Ford Tauruses vans and 1 new 2022 Ford F-250 Super Cab truck utility body for the Public Works Department. And I urge adoption.
Thank you very much. Oh,
No.
thank you.
These vehicles will be replacing older vehicles, 2013 Ford Transit van and a 2009 Chevy van, and an older 2008 Ford pickup. Also, I'd like to mention that this money was already approved from the capital equipment purchasing bond that this council approved earlier this year, so it's not coming out of our budget. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thanks, Alderman Rutkowski. And just to kind of touch on what Alderman Ayalon had asked earlier, this is also purchased through the State of Connecticut's Cooperative Purchasing Plan. Mr. Plumley is not here this evening. I should know he is actually in New York at a specialized training for the purchase of our new fire trucks. So we have Public Works Director Mr. Moriarty here if there's any questions. Alderman Ayalon.
First, I want to thank for, perhaps the audience might not know, but they prepared a more rationale explanation description of why certain vehicles are being replaced, as well as a list of old vehicles that are being replaced, and even pictures. So I really appreciate that. Looking forward, if we do have a plan, I wonder if we can have a plan now to purchase something in 2 years, 3 years, that is hybrid or electrical, instead of waiting and saying, well, we can't. So the cycle continues, and can we start a new phase of buying vehicles in the future? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, actually, we were just talking about this a little bit earlier, but we're getting ready to start our next fleet report. Every 2 years, we update our fleet report, and one of the things that we look at is alternate fuel vehicles. Talking to Sam Plumley, I think we're thinking hybrid vehicles, for a lot of vehicles, probably make more sense for us than fully electric vehicles, but it's definitely something we're going to consider. The only reason we haven't purchased anything recently was more supply chain issues, and hopefully that changes, and it changes our dynamic. But it's definitely something that we're interested in. I mean, as a city, we're doing tons of environmentally friendly initiatives. We're just about to get climate leader designation from Sustainable Connecticut. We're one of 5 communities that's getting that. It's their highest level designation, and we'll be distinguished in getting that. And it looks at all of our efforts around the city, from the things we do with NB Flush to it goes on and on. So
Say it loud, say it proud.
say it loud, say it
I
proud.
just want to mention
There's no
that,
T-shirt yet.
just in connection to
hats.
sustainability, I want to mention that myself and Alderwoman Costa are going to a forestry, urban forestry conference organized by DEEP, by the Department of Energy, on October 26th, I believe. And so I think we'll be glad to bring some more ideas of how to enhance the canopy and the trees and others in the city of New Britain. And I hope I've been a long time advocate for that. I hope we can have a real program for replacing all the trees that were lost in storms and so on in the future. So thank you for updating me on this.
And Elihu Burritt, learning by his grave in Fairview Cemetery, is by far my biggest thrill of any run I go through there. I mean, he is the bee.
He created the bee.
He created the bee.
He did. Any other questions or comments on this? I just want to mention that the city applied, and we went through a pretty vigorous application process through Sustainable CT's program. It started a new designation for climate leader. And with all of the work that we've done in the Sustainable Connecticut kind of checklist and meeting so many of the different criteria, we were able to apply for this first of its kind climate leader designation in the state. And I'm not supposed to say anything yet, but there's only 5 communities in the state that got it. And I mean, I'm not saying whether we got it or not, but I mean, you could just read my face. But you know, we'll announce that when it's time's right. Which is exciting for us. But I don't know anything. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Dyson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 12.
Seconded by Alderman Smedley.
Thank you. This is to authorize the purchase $345,173.58 to MHQ of Middletown for 5 new 2022 Ford Police Interceptors and 1 new 2023 Ford Transit van for the New Britain Police Department. And as Alderman Ayalon said, the report tonight was that these vehicles to be replaced have exceeded the upper end of their planned vehicle life cycle. And the pictures actually describe that very carefully. And some of them are currently not safe and reliable vehicles, and they need to be swapped out. So, and I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Dyson. Any questions or comments? Alderman Hargraves.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm not sure if this would be for Mark or Chief, but it's just regarding the transit van and the safety.
Oh, sure. Chief, I think you're probably most equipped to.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so as we all know, there was an incident in another municipality in Connecticut where someone was severely injured because of injury sustained in one of those prisoner transport vehicles or vans. So to make sure the safety protocols that we'll have in this new van, and have you had any incidents with anything before?
So this van will be equipped with seatbelts. It's per our policy, New Britain Police Department policy, that we have to have seatbelts in securing every prisoner that goes inside prisoner transport vehicle from the time that they're picked up on the location out in the field and brought into headquarters. And again, they're used to transport prisoners from headquarters to court on all court days. So yes, per policy, and the van will be equipped with it. We've had no incidents of anybody getting injured in a crash like that was in another municipality with the New Britain Police Department.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Rutkowski.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll make a motion to accept and adopt item number 13.
Seconded by Alderman Smedley.
This is for $465,560 to Chadwick Barrows for 1 new Odra street sweeper, 1 new, I can't even pronounce that name.
I know, I didn't even
Must
try
be
to.
Japanese. Excavator, and 1 new, same thing again, wheel loader for the Public Works Department. These vehicles, again, will be replacing existing vehicles in our fleet. The street sweeper is from 2005. That's pretty old. And the excavators is a John Deere from 1993. I know those things last pretty long, but for 1993. And a 1995 wheel loader from the, and I urge adoption. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Rutkowski. Are there any questions or comments? I will just add that the purchase of a new street sweeper also ties directly into a previous resolution that we had this evening for the MS4 permit, as street sweeping annually is a requirement of that permit, and we have to make sure that in order to be in compliance that we are showing proof that we are sweeping our streets at least once a year, at least. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Malinowski.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item 14.
Seconded by Alderman Russell.
And this is for $49,995 to repair the coping joints on the water treatment plant roof. And the funding is available through a account for the Public Works Department Utility Division, and I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman. Are there any questions or comments on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Oh, my favorite resolution of the evening. Oh my God. In unison. Seconded by Alderman Thompson.
I was lucky enough to get this resolution that we all been waiting for years, if not decades. Finally, the dredging of the pond at Stanley Quarter Park went out to bid, and the city has selected, what's the name of the contractor? Colasal Concrete of Berlin, Connecticut, for a total of $956,433, and I urge adoption.
Alderman Ayalon.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad too. I've been, I think, I've been on, that's my 5th year, and I think it started about a year into about 4 years. Can somebody explain why it took so long? Just give us, at least to those newcomers here, why it took so long to get it dredged, and why is it important to dredge that? Thank you.
Okay,
Mr.
so
Barbieri.
when we started
Mr.
this project,
Barbieri.
I was 5 years old, and I'm now 49. But anyway, yeah, I share everyone's excitement, and Alderman Ayalon, it was a long process, needless to say. We started with doing some initial just research of what the issues were with GZA A&E, and that involved a bathymetric survey to determine what the issues were, how much sediment was there, what would be the appropriate means of doing the dredging. There's a lot of different ways it can be done. And then once you determine that, that begins the permit process, and the permit process is lengthy. It just so happens we were going through COVID as we were trying to get these permits approved, which made it even longer because not everyone was at work. So it involves state DEP, the Army Corps of Engineers at the federal level, and my thanks to Mayor Stewart for helping at numerous levels at numerous times to help push, even though it seems like it's been a long time, it would have been longer without those pushes. And so obviously, when you're working with a waterway, you can't just go do whatever you want to do. It requires, and it's okay. I'm okay because we want to do it the right way. I would maybe put some research into why it took so long and those kinds of things. But at the end of the day, we're doing it safely in the right way. And the bottom line is, and I'm not going to bore everyone with the science, but you can't have a body of water that has such a shallow bottom with the sunlight coming through and the amount of nutrients that are coming in there. The geese deposit a lot of nutrients into that pond, which is a major issue. And so we'll have to come up with ways to make sure it stays clean. We will put our solar bees back into the water and our sprays that everyone wants back once the dredging is done, which will also introduce oxygen to the water, in addition to bringing back all our recreational activities like skating and the paddle boats and things like that. We have plans to bring that back to life. And a lot of people, we've gotten a ton of complaints about just walking around the pond, and the smell and just the aesthetics of it is a problem. So we're very excited. As soon as this meeting's over, we're gonna have a contract signing.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, the contractor has committed to starting in early November, and is ready to rock and roll through the winter as weather permits. And hopefully by the time we get to the May, June timeframe to be done and complete. And I would be remiss to not thank Mark Moriarty and Rob Trottier in Public Works for helping along the way too. They were key and instrumental in the whole thing coming together.
I might add for the audience and for those who don't know is that actually it's the Batterson Park water, the Batterson Pond or lake, however you call it, the water comes then to
Comes into Stanley,
right?
to A.W. Stanley, I believe it comes into. I don't think it's
Both of
Stanley
them? To
Quarter,
both?
but no, I think it's primarily A.W. that comes.
So where
into.
does the water for
I don't have the
Stanley
mapping
Quarter.
in front of me to know for sure.
'Cause they're running
But I
from-
will tell you this, we're also installing a sediment forebay. So the stream that does come into the pond on that southern end, a sediment forebay is going to be catching all the sediment before it goes into the entire pond. So on regular intervals, Public Works will be going into there, digging out whatever sediment would have gone into the pond before it can get in there.
I see,
So there are some efforts that we're making to prevent this from happening again in the future.
All right, thank you and good luck. I'll be
You're
coming
welcome.
there to watch the historical event.
Great, excellent.
Should we have a ceremony?
Something.
Why not, right? The water coming into the pond, to Stanley Quarter is all runoff from the McClintock area, so it comes down through the woods there, and that's where it.
But not Patterson.
Correct.
Right.
Batterson feeds AW. And fun fact, AW actually feeds the irrigation at Stanley Golf Course. Fun fact. Alderman Smedley.
Sure does.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Barbieri, and you may not know the answer to this question, just want to throw it out there. Do you know how they're going to dredge it? Are they going to drain it, re-divert
It is
the
going to be,
feed,
yes,
or how's
they
it
are
gonna
going to be
happen?
bringing trucks right into the pond. It's going to be split into two lobes, so they're going to go in, drain the water. They're going to have water control measures to take place from the inlet. They'll do it in two different processes. It's actually over 16,000 cubic yards of material that is being removed, so it's a lot of material. I won't bore you with the details of lifeguards falling in there and going up to here, and they're up to their hips in sediment. It needs to be done badly. So yeah, it'll be done in two phases. Like I said, hopefully during the winter, but also they'll have a lot of grass and turf settlement that needs to be done come spring.
Should I sandbag my backyard now, or?
No. Listen, we have vetted this thoroughly, and we are confident that it's going to be done the right way.
Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, a little history there. Last time it was done, you probably know, I forgot how far they went down and they never hit bottom. They had to stop. So it's quite an endeavor. I think they even had a problem with one of the trucks. Oh, Martha Hart. Okay, but I know Stanley Quarter, there was an issue too or something. But the other issue, which has been ongoing forever, and we've tried everything over the years, are the geese.
Mhm.
Is there anything new that can be done? I know we tried all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
over the years. There's a lot
I
of
wouldn't
com-
say there's anything new. There are kind of the usual suspects in trying to shock them and scare them to go
Right.
different places and do those kinds of things and push them in other directions.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that there's too many of them now, and that they're not migratory anymore. They're staying
they-
put once they
yeah,
find a
they
comfortable
like it
place
here.
to stay. And I will tell you that we've been inundated with complaints about the geese,
know,
from
I know.
athletics to just walking around and those kinds of things. And I have talked to Mayor about different options that are out there, but they are expensive.
Right.
They're expensive options, and
Yes.
there's no way around it.
I
It's
know.
not cheap, and it's temporary in its nature, because
gonna
unless
come
you
back.
stay with it, they'll just
That's
fly
correct.
back again.
That's correct. All right, thank you.
And
Thank
the
you, Your Honor.
problem with those options, if I may add, is that you're not making friends with your neighboring communities, because those
Yeah, they're all
options
gonna
are
go
pushing
somewhere.
the geese into your neighboring towns. And then your mayors or town managers in the neighboring towns are calling pissed because your geese are going now to their parks. It is quite the regional conundrum.
It is an issue.
If I may add just one thing, I do want to give a shout out to Gaffney Bennett, to the city's lobbying firm.
Yeah.
Paula Clark was an absolute godsend throughout this
Pitbull.
process.
She was great.
To think that I was annoying the heck out of every commissioner / deputy commissioner that I could find. Paula Clark with Gaffney Bennett really, really helped immensely. So I
Tremendously.
just have to give a shout out to them too. Any other questions or comments on this? We'll have a ceremonial pond drain. I don't know. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Made by Alderman Smedley, seconded by Alderman Dyson. All those in favor, say aye. We are adjourned. The time is 8:07 p.m. Have a good night.